Have you ever taken a photo that's came out too dark, or too bright, or just off? That's not bad luck, that's exposure. And today I'm going to break down the exposure triangle, the core concept that controls how every photo that you take actually looks. Within photography, exposure is simply how bright or dark your image is, and it is controlled by these three settings: ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. Together, these form what is known as the exposure triangle. Once you understand how these three work, and more importantly how they work together, you will unlock full creative control over your photos. Let's break it down one side at a time.
Smoke weed every day.
First up, ISO. ISO controls your camera's sensitivity to light. A low ISO, like 100, is great for bright conditions, whilst a high ISO, like 1600 or above, is great for darker conditions. But there's a trade-off. A high ISO, alongside being great for darker conditions, the higher you go, the more noise that may appear on your images. Noise looks like grain or little speckles amongst your photos. So while a high ISO might save a shot in darker scenes, it may also reduce image quality. Next, let's talk about aperture. Aperture is the opening in your lens that lets light in. It's measured in f-stops, like f1.8, f4, f11, and so on. Here's the tricky part. Smaller numbers mean a wider opening, letting in more light. But higher numbers mean a narrower opening, which lets less light in. But aperture doesn't just control exposure, it also controls something called depth of field. A lower f-stop can give you that nice cinematic blurry background, whereas a higher f-stop keeps the scene fully in focus and sharp. And finally, shutter speed. Shutter speed is how long the camera's shutter stays open to allow light to hit the sensor. It's measured in seconds or fractions of a second, like 1/1000th of a second or 1/60th of a second, or even several seconds. Faster shutter speeds freeze motion, which is great for sports or action shots. Slower shutter speeds let in more light and can create motion blur, which can be artistic or just plain messy, depending on how you use it. Now here's where it all comes together. The exposure triangle means these three settings are connected. If you change one, you often need to adjust one or both of the others to keep the same exposure. For example, if you widen your aperture to let in more light, you might need a faster shutter speed or a lower ISO to avoid overexposing your image. Think of it like balancing a scale. More light from one setting means you need to compensate with less light from another. Let's say you're shooting in low light. You might open your aperture wide, slow down your shutter speed and raise your ISO, but if the image gets too noisy, you might lower the ISO and instead use a lower shutter speed, if your subject isn't moving. Every situation is a balancing act. And here's the important part. This isn't just about getting a correct exposure, it's about creative control. Want a blurry background? Adjust aperture. Want to freeze motion? Adjust shutter speed. Want to shoot in the dark? Adjust ISO. If you're just starting out, try shooting in aperture priority mode or shutter priority mode. This lets you control one setting whilst your camera helps balance with the others. So remember, ISO controls sensitivity, aperture controls light and depth of field, and shutter speed controls light and motion. If this helps you understand the exposure triangle, stick around. There's a lot more to learn and it only gets more fun from here. Thank you for watching and subscribe if you found this helpful.